Hi, I'm Rochelle Coandle, and I'm Eileen Zarlinga's sister. I'm her older sister, and she was younger than me, and my sister was a very special girl, and she was younger growing up. We're from Girard, and we grew up in Girard, Ohio. My sister then, she got older, and then she went to grade school, then she went to high school. And when she went to Girard High School, she was a majorette there also. And she took the hard course at Girard High School, and she loved being a majorette. She went to the football games and everything all the time, and she was real happy about that. And the girls, her girlfriends used to come over, and they practiced too. And they used to come over and practice together. And she liked being a majorette, and that was important to her. So she was also in the band too, but then after she went to be a majorette. Yeah, she played the flute in the band, but she also then went to be a majorette. Yeah, she liked to work, and she worked at the mall, the Eastwood Mall at Foxmore. And as she got older and she got married and everything, she went to Deck the Walls up at the Southern Park Mall. She worked there, and she worked at Deck the Walls, and she was a manager there, which she liked very well. And she was a real good manager and Decked the Walls, and she did such a good job there that the owner wanted to send her to Texas and manage a department store, but then she didn't go though. Her daughter was real nice and sweet, and she was real nice. Kristen, yeah, that was her daughter, and her husband, he was nice. Well, they got married and everything first. They got married and everything, which was good and everything. She was real happy and everything. And yeah, my sister couldn't wait to get married, and they got married. And yeah, she was real happy and everything when she got married.
Who did she get married to?
Bob Zarlenga. That was her husband, yeah. She was pretty young, though, when she got married, yeah.
And she just had the one child?
Yeah, she had the one child. And Kristen, she was 2.5 when that happened when that happened to her. She was only 2.5 then. They were married and everything, and I guess maybe they were married a while, and then it got, later, I guess it wasn't going too good, and then she got divorced then. She got a divorce and everything, my sister. Then she lived in an apartment. She went to an apartment and lived too. So yeah, so that's what her and Kristen did. They moved into an apartment. Yeah, and I used to go see them all the time too. But she still took care of her and everything, real good and everything. She didn't change or anything like that. No, because Kristen was real important to her.
Do you know why her and Bob got divorced?
I don't really think they got along. They start arguing and stuff like that, and they were arguing and stuff like that too. They just didn't get along, and yeah. Well, he used to come home late a little bit too, and that was it. Yeah. As far as I know, that's what I know. That I'm just telling you what I know. Yeah.
Do you know if she saw anybody else after that?
No. There was one guy that she saw maybe, but that's it. I don't know who it was or anything like that, but she did see one guy, but I didn't know anything. Yeah. But I said, all I said to her is he a nice guy? Make sure. She says, yeah, he's real nice. And I said, okay, but I never questioned her or nothing like that. Yeah, I never did.
Do you remember the last time that you spent time with Eileen?
Yeah. Well, just before I was ready to go to work that day, I had talked to her, and she said Kristen wasn't feeling too good. And I said, do you want me to stay home? And I'll go, if I have to, I'll come over and I'll go to the drugstore, do whatever you want me to do. I could do that. And she said, no, that's okay, go to work. I don't want you to take off work for me. She said, if I need anything, I'll call Daddy and he could go get me stuff if I need something. And when that happened, and I came home from work that night, and I had a funny feeling at work, like God came over me, something came over me. And sure enough, when I get home, I got a phone call, and they said Eileen was missing. My sister was missing. She wasn't there with the little girl, and my dad was over her place, and somebody took her from her apartment that night. So that's when everything unraveled. And if I would have stayed home, that wouldn't have happened probably. Eileen never opened the door for anybody. Even when I went there, I knocked at the door and she wouldn't open up for me. And I said, Eileen, it's your sister. It's only me. So then she opened up the door. But no, she wouldn't open the door for anybody. But that's when she was gone, and my dad went over there to get a phone call, and they says, Daddy's over at her apartment. Eileen isn't there. Eileen's gone. So I hurried up and went over her apartment I just went over there, got in my car and went over there real quick. And she didn't live too far from me. She lived on Patricia Drive, and I lived on Churchill Road. And I went over there real quick, and the door was open. My dad was really upset because he loved her so much. My dad goes, Kristen, she was screaming when I came here. The lady next door even says Kristen was screaming. She's yelling, Mommy, Mommy, where are you at? Well, naturally somebody took her, but Kristen was sleeping at the time. My sister went with them so they wouldn't take her. That's how Eileen was. She didn't want nothing to become of that little girl, so she went with them, or she would have put up a rumpus before she went out with them. So we waited a whole week until they found her body then. They found her body, Eileen's body then down Gladstone Road. A guy was out there, that was a week later, not 2 days later, but a week. We waited a whole week, so they did whatever they wanted to do with her. They tortured her to the pulp. I'm telling you, they really did. The detective told me all what they did to her, and it's nothing was good. The poor girl, she suffered. Then they found her body a week later, and she was tortured, and this guy was going down Gladstone Road, and him and his wife were in a truck, and he said, gee, I see a hump over there. It's back where the trees were, back a little further off the road. And he goes, I'm going to go check that out. He goes, I'll be right back. So he gets out of his truck and he goes and look. He goes, oh, that's a body there, he said. And here she was like hunched over. Her night shirt was up. Her panties were pulled down. And I mean, they tortured her and they dumped her body and they did all kinds of stuff to her. It was really gross. And they should be ashamed themselves what they did to that girl, because they tortured my sister really, really bad. How would anybody like to be tortured like that? Nobody would. What the detective told me, I couldn't tell you what he told me, how bad it was. That's how bad it was. Honestly, I'm not lying to you. That was my sister. Who would like if somebody did that to their child with the way they tortured my sister? Nobody would.
What year did she die?
January 26th, 1988.
Do you believe it was somebody she knew, or do you believe it was a stranger?
Well, when somebody came at the door, and they told, it could go either way, I would think. It could go, because they probably, the detective we had in the case said, they probably tricked her to open the door, like they probably said, gee, Rochelle was in a car wreck, open up the door, we're going to take you to her. Or it could go either way, or somebody that she knew too. It could, but if somebody she knew pretty well, she would open the door. But if she didn't know you, she wouldn't open the door.
Let me ask you this. What would it mean for you to see Eileen get justice?
I would be so happy. I'd be so happy. It would take everything away that I have. It's on my chest. It's really bad. That's what I mean. And I think of her all the time, and I think about what they did to her, naturally. And it would mean so much to me to get justice in this case. And it has to be justice done, and find the one who did this to her. You know, because who would do something like that? I don't know who would do something like that.
Let's say that someone's watching this.
Okay.
Who might know something.
Mm-hmm.
Who may have seen something, who may have heard something. Do you have a message for anyone watching this?
Well, if anybody knows anything, please come forward. It's really important. Nobody knows until it really happens in their family. and it was so bad. And we went through a lot in our family. But if you know anything, please come forward. And, I'd be so grateful. And that would mean a lot. And God, help us. Let them find him.